Welcome to Augustana Sportscene. This is your weekly look inside Augie Athletics, and I'm your host, Carla Metts. Well, as always, on this episode, we're going to talk with football head coach Jerry Olszewski and volleyball head coach Dan Meske. And this week, we're going to catch up with senior soccer player Meg Thacker. But for now, it's time to take a quick look at highlights from last week. The Augie football team had a big win Saturday against Southwest Minnesota State. The Vikings had 536 yards of total offense and were led by running back C.J. Ham, who had a career high of 160 rushing yards. Running back Justin Greenway also had 7 carries for 86 yards. The Vikings held Southwest Minnesota State scoreless in the second half while scoring 3 touchdowns to solidify their 48-23 win. Moving on to Viking volleyball, the team fell to number 3 Concordia St. Paul on October 2nd. They came out strong in the first set, but the Golden Bears came back fighting in the second and third set. Lauren Waite had 6 big kills in set 4, which helped them win the set 25-14. Sydney Huntsley had a team high of 14 kills. Both Brittany Check and Lauren Waite each had 11. In their second road game against Minnesota State, Brittany Check had a season high of 14 kills. Becca Finley and Danny Magis each had 9, giving the Vikings a total of 52 kills. Sophomore Alex Banker had a team high of 27 assists. The team found success in the second set, but were unable to come away with a win. The soccer team kicked their weekend off with a 1-0 win against Bemidji State. Kristen Smith scored the game's only goal with a one-touch shot from a cross from Stephanie Stevens in the 83rd minute. They continued their success with a 2-0 win over Minnesota Crookston. Callie Norberg scored after taking a cross from Hannah Kierstead to give the Vikings a 1-0 lead. Minnesota Crookston tied the game in the 60th minute, but Sam Timkowitz responded with a goal from the top of the box. The Vikings women's golf team won the Augustana Fall Invite. The team shot 229 in both rounds of the 8-team tournament. They finished 41 strokes ahead of second-place team St. Cloud State, and 5 of their players were in the top 6. The NSIC Conference Tournament is next on the schedule for the Vikings, and it begins on October 10th and runs through the 11th. When we return, we're going to talk with Coach OJ about their win over Southwest Minnesota State and their upcoming game against Minnesota State. We'll be right back.
Being part of a great team means you know your role and you work your role to the best of your ability. If you're consistently going to show up and be your best, you're going to be part of that team. You can see the success they have over time. It's not just 1 year flash in the pan. It's consistent success over time, which makes them great. And that's where the work ethic comes in. The ability to come into work, do the same thing repeatedly day after day after day, and putting your best foot forward is going to separate you from the rest.
Choose the experts. Choose Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine.
You want more from your home improvement store? Don't waste your entire weekend wandering through a maze of aisles and crowds trying to find some newbie big box store employee who's avoiding you and your questions like Bigfoot avoids photographers. Head to Schoenemann's instead, where you'll find answers and everything you need without the hassle, hoopla, and headaches. From questions to complete projects, look to the experts at Schoenemann's, Sioux Falls, and Harrisburg.
Welcome back. The Vikings football team is 4-1 in the conference after beating Southwest Minnesota State. Brad Peterson is with Coach OJ to talk about the game and the adjustments for next week.
All right, thanks a lot, Carla. So much, Coach, to talk about. 2 straight victories at home. It's nice to have those games, especially after that Moorhead game. You lose by 1, come back home with 2 straight wins.
Yeah, it is. And we know we underperformed in that Moorhead game and just couldn't wait to get back on the field. And Minot was a good feel-good game for us, as we said last week, kind of just a pedestrian day and an efficient day to get better, and then got challenged by an undefeated Southwest team that, many people picked against us. So I just really pleased with the overall team effort that happened on Saturday. That was, and then we talked about it all week. This is going to be a team win. We got to win the special teams. We got to win the defensive battle. We got to make sure that offensively we outplay their offense. And every one of those things came to fruition, and I'm just so proud of our guys.
So 48-23 victory against Southwest. And I thought really one of the big parts of this game, even though you give up a lot of yards, a second half shutout, was in the third quarter. Southwest is driving deep in your own territory. You force them to give up the ball, and then you turn around with a big answer, kind of the knockout punch. And we've talked about this before, Coach, is that it's all about the finish. And I thought the finish for that game, Game 5, came at that point, that juncture, when you force them to turn it over, you respond with a 98-yard drive.
Yeah, it really was a huge point in a maturity growth process in our program. First of all, compliments to our defense for hanging in there and not stopping to fight. You know, we talk about fight on this program, that every snap matters and you're willing to do more than anybody else. Yeah, they fumbled the snap on fourth down, but they had to get to fourth down. We had to make plays on first, second, and third down to create a fourth down and goal. And whether it's a fumbled exchange or otherwise, I'm just so proud of our kids that they made them go 4 plays and they didn't get in the end zone. That's a huge stop, huge momentum swing. You know, 7 points that would have put them within 7 points of us at that point. Actually moved it to 34-30 if they would have scored at that. And then offensively, collectively as a football team, I'm proud of how we complemented each other for the first time really in a couple of years, where we really got to stop defensively and then go a 10-play, 98-yard, 6-minute drive and kind of put the dagger in to go up 41-23 at that point. And that's just good football.
Total of 536 yards of total offense, and when C.J. Ham in the running game with Augustana goes, I think Trey Hyde also goes, and again, passing the ball well. Thought another big key was tight ends really got involved. Yeah,
they did, and it was a goal of, I think that both of our staffs did a great job of putting the plan together, and the kids executed the plan pretty darn well. Coach Schrank and Coach Pakulis and the offensive staff realized that there were some matchup things, and on the first play of the game, Jake Barcher's skill came out. He can run a little bit. He's a good football player, and I've been telling people that. A huge play for us, and Trey just missed him for a touchdown on that same drive, fingertip type of deal. So they were huge for us all day, and it's going to take that. That's one thing about our offense that makes us fairly dynamic is I think last week we hit 8 different receivers that caught the ball. This week I think it was 7. And just the distribution of ball wealth has been really good, offensively. And you're right, when CJ goes well, certainly, and Trey does at the same time, we're a difficult matchup for people.
Well, Trey Hyde, 15-20 for 290. Is there an over/under on the number of attempts that he has to try? I mean, if you're at 40 or more, is that a bad sign?
Again, it falls back to our philosophy that whatever you're going to give us, we're going to take. And for us, it's really pick your poison, type of scenario. If teams want to shut down the run and add that extra hat in the box, then we realize we might have to throw the ball a little bit more. Quite opposite, if they're going to play coverage a bit more, then we need to be able to run the football. So it's a chess match constantly in this game, and I think our coaches do a really good job, and our kids understand that. They're a selfless bunch. They really don't care who gets the credit on any given day. They just want to win. They want to do it together. So that's what makes us a solid team.
All right, so this week setting up a trip to Blakesea Field. Next year they'll finally have it turfed for the Northern Sun, but they also had a dominant second half just like you did. They beat Upper Iowa. What do you see out of the Mavericks this year? Obviously, a good senior running back, a pretty good sophomore quarterback that they've settled on.
Yeah, no doubt. Their number 1 ranking in the country is well-deserved, without question. They're a complete football team, offensively, defensively, special teams. They're well-coached. They have great athletes, and they believe in themselves. They understand who they are. They've been to the big dance. They were in the national championship last year. They've won 38 consecutive NSIC games dating back to 2012. Number 1 defense overall, number 3 offense or 4 offense overall, I want to say, and just time after time you can go statistics. Well, when you're a good program, that's where you are. And with that said, we're going to line up 1 time. We don't have to beat Mankato 11 times this year. We got to beat them 1 time. We got to be playing good enough football. In the past, which is the past, we've played them as well as anybody for 4 quarters in our league. We need to make sure that we're playing our best football and continuing to grow, and at the same time understand this is a 1-week challenge. We don't need to be, the national champion Augustana Vikings this week. We need to be the best Game 6 Augustana Vikings this week. That's who we need to be, and against a very good opponent that isn't going to make many mistakes. Equally, we can't make many mistakes as well. But I promise you this, our kids won't back down. they're excited about the opportunity. It's their homecoming, so they're going to be all fired up. Having spent 9 years there, I know what that means on that campus, so we will have our kids equally ready. We accept it. I think it's going to be a great atmosphere, and our kids will embrace that and play up.
Is this truly one of those games that comes down to both offense and defensive lines?
Yeah, I think the fronts are going to have a lot to say about this. You know, their defense, arguably, they're averaging 8 points a game defensively, and they haven't given up a point in the second half yet this season. They've outscored people 129-0. You know, so they're just solid across the board. There's a lot of familiarity in the staffs. You know, I've coached with 4 of those guys that are on that staff in my history, so we have a pretty good idea who they are. They have a really good idea who we are. So it's really going to be that chess match of what you do when. Put players in good positions and expect them to make plays. So I think that the front will have a lot to do with this. We're going to have to play really well, no doubt about it. But that's the challenge. That's why we play this game. You play the game for games like this. That's what it's all about, and that's why these kids came to Augustana, to have a chance to play the best. So I'm looking forward to it.
All right. Thank you very much, Coach.
Thanks, Brad. The football team kicks off with Minnesota State this Saturday at 2 p.m. in Mankato. We'll talk with volleyball head coach Dan Meske about the 2 road games from the weekend right after this break.
Moms and dads, want to make sure that your kid is prepared for school picture day? First order of business are clothes. Help them pick out clothes and colors that look good on them. Because sometimes the picture shows more than just this, you know? After all, you're going to have that picture forever. Remember, smiles are like French fries. They're better when they're fresh. Bottom line, the Life Touch team will make sure everything runs smoothly. So picture day will be fun and exciting for everybody.
The Volkswagen Passat Limited Edition. Dollar for dollar, it's an amazing value. Let's add up the worth of its standard features, like a rear-view camera, keyless access, heated front seats, and more.
But what really tips the scales is that you get all this value for this surprisingly low price. That's $1,200 in savings. I usually hate being on scales, but this is nice.
At Graham Automotive, West 41st Street, Sioux Falls, or online at grahamvw.com.
Welcome back to Augustana Sportscene. Well, the volleyball team fell to Concordia, St. Paul, and Minnesota State this past weekend. Brad Peterson is with Coach Meske to talk about the takeaways from those losses and what's ahead for his team.
All right, thanks a lot, Carla. Dan, when you talk about the Northern Sun experience, the road is just so tough and so different than playing at home.
Yeah, and you know, that's part of it too, the travel. You have a late night match on Friday night, and we went up to Concordia, gave it our all, and then you got to turn around and play a really motivated team at 4 o'clock the next day. Unfortunately, we didn't handle that as well as we felt we could have. But when you look at the weekend as a whole, there were some bright spots. We were in some tough situations and gutted out some really big rallies and big points. Just at the end of the day, we couldn't put enough together to come away with at least 1 win, which was somewhat disappointing.
All right, so Concordia, how good are they as you played at Concordia St. Paul?
Yeah, and that was my first experience in their gym. And of course, they have their 7 national championship banners right as you walk in there. So you know right away that's a program and a coach that's got things rolling. And they were a very, very composed team. We really put their backs against the wall a couple times, and they responded each time. So it was great for our girls to see that they can go, you know, blow for blow with a team of that caliber. And again, just came up a little bit short.
Well, you came out in set number 1, grabbing an early lead. Then what happened?
We had that early lead, and then we got stuck in rotation 1, which is a rotation where Danny Madges, our lefty, is at left front, which that makes it really hard because the ball has to go across her body if we set her on the left side, or we have a really tough crossing pattern where she has to run to the opposite side of the court. And a lot of teams have caught us in that rotation. We've changed it a lot to try and make it better and as good as we can make it, but we got caught in that rotation. But the cool thing about that match, if I took anything away from it, was that then we got to 23-23 and we went past 25. We were going point for point, and we've been in situations like that a few times this year, and we've come out on top. And that's when you really find out a lot about your team, is when you go into those extra points.
So then you turn around the next day, play at Mankato against Minnesota State. It dropped that match there. And it appears that there were just so many opportunities in that match, and Augustana couldn't take care of the Mavs.
Yeah, you know, that was a very disappointing match to come away from. It was really the perfect storm for Mankato. Probably the worst we've played all year, especially our first contact. We missed the most serves we've had all year, and then our first contact just was not there. We couldn't pass the ball. And then you pepper on top of that a couple of untimely calls that were just kind of difficult to deal with, and it just wasn't our day.
Well, the Vikings led late in set 3, 18-15. Then the momentum swings. The Mavericks get 10 out of the next 12. And then set 4, much of the same occurring. Augustana up 16-14 and then dropped several points after that.
Yeah, again, just kind of shooting ourselves in the foot. When you do have a lead like that, you can't be missing serves. You can't be giving the other team free points. And that was just kind of a theme for that match, was we had great opportunities, and then we just kind of let them creep back in. And a really emotional team like Mankato, they'll take advantage of opportunities like that, and they did.
All right, so as you take, we're 5 weeks going into the 6th week of the season, and before you know it, trying to look at standings or not look at standings as far as postseason goes. But how would you grade out your squad since fall camp started?
Well, you know, the biggest thing is we're on this journey to figure out how great we can be. So one of the big things I look at is our mentality. Do we have an open mindset? Do we have a growth mindset where we look at where we're at and know that that's not where we're going to be at the end of the year? So the biggest thing for me is, are we still embracing our growth mindset and the fact that we are going to get better tomorrow and we're going to be better the day after that and continue to work hard? And I think from that respect, we're probably in the B+ to A- range with our mentality. So unfortunately, we didn't have a great mentality at Mankato, but I think overall we've done a great job with that. When you look at X's and O's, I think our offense and defense, our offense has done some great things, probably in the B range, and our defense really has some improvement that we need to see. So we're probably below average on defense right now.
And how about that senior leadership? That was one of the keys coming in you felt was going to really help this Augustana team as you came in, having that senior leadership.
Yeah, and you know, if we take one bright spot away from the weekend, it's that after Mankato we had a really, really cool moment in the locker room where we talked about kind of why are we in this situation, what happened on the court, and kind of organically from that we ended up naming a team captain, which would be Marissa Johnson. So to this point we didn't feel that there was a need to have a specific or a named captain, and just in talking with the group, it kind of just emerged that Marissa was the person that we looked to, and we wanted to identify her as our team captain moving forward. So a pretty cool moment.
Well, coming up, Minnesota Crookston, Bemidji come into the Elman Center this past weekend. Crookston lost to Northern, as so many have. And they also won a match against Moorhead. You saw them in the showcase in September at the Elman Center. What are the eyeballs and what does the tape tell you about Crookston?
Yeah, we have a lot more we have to look at with Crookston, but seeing them live, they were one of the better blocking teams I've seen this year. And if you've seen us play, we are fearless in attacking the block, so that's going to be a pretty fun thing to watch, is us attacking that big block of Crookston. But they do some things really, really well on their side of the net. In particular, like I said, their blocking is a cut above a lot of teams.
Crookston at 7-8, 3-4 in Northern Sun play coming into this next weekend. And then Saturday, it's the Bemidji State Beavers. They have 3 straight matches that they've dropped. They're 4-12, 2-5.
Yeah, and Bemidji is a team that they can be really streaky. You'll watch them on film, and you'll be watching a match that maybe they lost, but if you catch 10 minutes of it, you'll see a Bemidji team that does some really, really impressive things. So we know that both of those teams can get hot. And again, we just need to take from Mankato, getting our first contact back in order. If we can serve tough, we should have a great effort against both teams.
You talked about Marissa being captain. Becca Finley from Wisconsin, 6'2", and she's one of your middle blockers. Talk about her.
Yeah, she's a great leader on our team, a really great personality. If you get the opportunity to see us play live, she's somebody that you're naturally drawn to. She's just a very, very exciting player to watch and brings a lot of personality to our team. So we have a great dynamic on our team where we've got certain people that fill different roles. Becca definitely is that spark plug for us that brings a lot of fun to the court and does a great job in the middle.
All right, thanks a lot, Dan.
Thanks.
The Vikings face Minnesota Crookston on October 9th and Bemidji State on October 10th. Both of those games will be played inside the Elman Center. Well, when we return, we're going to introduce you to an Augustana athlete to talk about her senior season. Stay tuned, you're watching Augustana Sportscene.
Hey fans, Marissa Johnson here from the Augustana volleyball team. We would love to have you join us on Friday and Saturday against Minnesota Crookston and Bemidji State. For more information, please visit gohockey.com. Hope to see you there.
Noah, are you about ready to go?
Don't forget your football.
Thanks, Mom.
You promised to never miss a game, and with iMed Mobility, you never have to. From handicap accessible vans to wheelchair lifts and driving aids, iMed makes it easier to be there for all of life's important moments. iMed Mobility, providing life-changing experiences for all our customers.
Need a new water softener?
I'm on it. Dude, don't do it yourself.
No?
No.
Leave it to the experts. Just say, hey, Culligan man.
Save salt, energy, and water with a $39.95 water softener. Inspect and check on any brand.
The soccer team is having a successful season. They're 6-0-1 in the NSIC, and now we want to introduce you to a senior midfielder that's contributed to that success. Number 27, Meg Thacker, is originally from Omaha, and she joins Bill Gross now to talk about her time at Augustana and her final season.
Well, thank you, Carla. And joining me now is outstanding Augustana women's soccer player, Meg Thacker. We have a lot to talk about today, Meg, here in our little interview. But to begin with, let's go backwards. Omaha, Nebraska, Omaha West Side High School. Great high school career, great club soccer career. You had to pick a place to go to college and get your education and play soccer. Why did you choose Augustana?
You know, growing up, I played on the ODP Olympic Development Program, and Coach Barkas was my coach for a couple years. And he always inserted little tidbits of Augustana College. You know, he was like, you know, my women at Augustana College, they're working this hard, and we're doing this drill. And I was like, wow, that's kind of neat. You know, I want to play soccer in college. And I looked into the school a little bit more. I learned about the prestigious academic programs and the great biology department. And the opportunities to do research here during the summer, which was something that was incredible for such a small liberal arts school in the Midwest. It wasn't too far from home, and you know, I fell in love with it.
Yeah, well, and we're sure glad you're here. You're a senior at Augustana right now on a soccer team that is currently 8-1-1 overall, 6-0-1 in the NSIC, coming off a NCAA playoff appearance last year. Meg, great start to the season. Your thoughts on the team?
Absolutely. I think the team has really gelled together well so quickly. You know, our preseason is only about 2 weeks long, but I think we just came together so fast, and I think we exhibit that chemistry on the field as well as off.
Okay, wonderful. What do you see as your role on our team?
You know, that's funny. Coach always asks us to define our roles on the team, and this year our little hashtag tagline is Live, Laugh, Run, and we have 3 captains. And so he kind of assigned one of the words in our tagline to each captain. And so Riggs is the liver, and Stevie was assigned the word laugh, and then I was the run word. And so I think my role on the field is just run from the 18 to the 18 and just work really hard.
Yeah, and Meg plays midfielder, so she gets up and down. We were talking before we went on the air. She says that she thinks, about 7 miles during a match. Is that correct?
They have done technological advancements and experiments where they watch where people run on the field, and they have said on average that it is 7 miles. But
wow, I'm glad it's you and not me. I don't think I could run 7 miles. Of course, I couldn't play soccer either, so you do a great job out there. Well, the team, of course, here, as we mentioned, doing great. Meg mentioned earlier her decision to come to Augustana. Also, because of the proud academic reputation we have here. Talk a little bit about your major, your minor, and maybe what your future plans might be.
Well, I came in with a biology major, and then through some discussions with some professors that I met, I decided to add a business minor, because everything's a business, and that's just great knowledge to have. You know, and then God willing, next year maybe I'll go to med school. I'm still waiting to hear back, but I just applied, so.
Yeah, well, it would be wonderful, and we've had great reputation in placing students, as you know, in medical school. Great program here at Augustana in pre-med and biology. Back to soccer a little bit. You've been playing since you were a little shaver. How old were you when you started?
I was 3.
Okay, so 3 years on to now into her 20s. What do you like about the game of soccer?
I love the team atmosphere and the team aspect. There's 11 players on the field, and you need every single one of them. And each one brings something great to the field and something a little bit different, which is so unique. I think that's the best part.
And the team, I know Coach Barkas, his personality, if folks know him out there, he is who he is, and he's got quite a relationship with his team members. It seems like there's really a close-knit family here in Augustana women's soccer.
Absolutely. I would agree 100% with that. We had 4 recruits on campus, this weekend, and he always asks the seniors, you know, like, can you give them any advice, or what's your favorite part about Augustana? And overwhelmingly, everyone says, you know, the team is like family, and that's probably the best part about it.
Yeah, well, it's certainly evident in how we play and the attitude that you young ladies have out there. Just to close down here, Meg, last question. You're an old-timer now. You're a senior on the women's soccer team. Reflect on your experiences here at Augustana as both a student and a soccer player.
You know, I think the order you put those in is absolutely what Barkus always stresses. You know, we're a student athlete. Students come first. Your academics come first. And I think I've had a great opportunity to learn so many things and do research here during the summers, meet professors who have so much knowledge, and then, you know, the soccer aspect with Coach Barkus, he's instilled so many great values, such as perseverance and hard work and leadership. So I think everything has come together. It's been a great experience.
Well, and as you can see, Meg Thacker is an outstanding representative of Augustana College. Well, Meg, listen, good luck with your future, career, your school, all of that. We got a lot of soccer to play yet, so
Sure.
Good luck with the rest of the year.
Thank you.
All right, back to you, Carla.
The soccer team has 2 away games this weekend at St. Cloud State and Minnesota Duluth. And if you can't make those games, no worries. You can keep up with all the live stats and updates at GoAugie.com. We'll be right back after the break.
The specialists are so important because they're the ones that can take your team from average to great. The guys that have their specialized roles and understand them and do them really well, those guys are hard to find. And so when you have those guys that are good at what they do and believe in what they're doing, don't care too much about who gets the credit, and want to go out and prove something, I think that is probably the most important ingredient in a successful team.
Choose the experts. Choose Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine.
You want more from your home improvement store? Don't waste your entire weekend wandering through a maze of aisles and crowds trying to find some newbie big box store employee who's avoiding you and your questions like Bigfoot avoids photographers. Head to Schoenemann's instead, where you'll find answers and everything you need without the hassle, hoopla, and headaches. From questions to complete projects, look to the experts at Schoenemann's, Sioux Falls and Harrisburg.
And here's a look at the upcoming week for your Vikings. Keep up with all the latest information on the Vikings at GoAugie.com. I'm your host, Carla Metts. We'll see you next week.